What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F1 2021 My Team Career Mode for Round 3, the Monaco Grand Prix for Season 2. So, going into this one, I decided to put a few upgrades on facilities. We're going to go for another build time upgrade on the chassis. We're also going to go for build time on durability. I just want to kind of get these facilities going a bit so that we can pump out upgrades a little bit quicker and get our car further up the order in a quicker fashion. We've got our activities there, and then we have a durability upgrade come through. We're going to also put another ICE reliability upgrade, as well as an MGUH, is it? Okay, I can't really read that from here. A couple of aero upgrades come through as well. We're going to put on a new chassis upgrade, because chassis seems to be one of our weaker parts of the car. So going into Q1, and it was going to be a wet qualifying. So you may remember, if you watched Season 1, the Monaco Grand Prix, we had a completely wet race. I mean, I think it was inters throughout the whole race, but it was raining the whole race at Monaco as well. It was my first wet race of the season, of this game, and it had to be Monaco. So this time, thankfully, the race itself is not forecast rain. Thank God for that, as we get a little bit squirrely out of that corner there. It's forecast rain for qualifying, but thankfully no rain forecast for the rain, so we are going to have a dry Monaco Grand Prix this time, which is good, because as crazy as it was last time, you know, it wasn't amazing. Carlos Sainz ends up going quickest in Q1, so maybe showing the Ferraris have good pace here. Myself and Alonso both get through to Q2. I actually come in P8 after just kind of getting, I think the session started with wet tyres, and then towards the end of the session, the last laps we managed to do, we could do on intermediate tyres. So towards the end of the of qualifying one, the track was getting drier, and I was one of the last cars to set my lap time, so that's why we get through. But yeah, Alonso gets through to Q2 as well, so that's always good. So yeah, Monaco is a track that I mean, I'm decent at Monaco, but you have to be so brave, because one little mistake and you're in the walls. There is no room whatsoever. It's still a pretty quick track at places. I mean, this section we've got coming up here after the chicane is a terrifying part of the track. Kind of from here onwards, the amount of times I understeer through this corner here and just go into the wall, and then this part here, you accidentally clip the curb too much and you will go smacking into the wall. But if you do get it right, it's such a fun corner. And that's the thing with Monaco. When you get it right, it's such a fun track to drive, but when you get it wrong and you're constantly having to restart and redo flashbacks in a race, it can get rather frustrating. So we don't unfortunately get through to Q3, neither does Fernando Alonso. We end up in P15 with Alonso in a good P12. So yeah, see what we can do in the race. See how it goes.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars will climb around 40 metres up the hill, past the casino, and then descend downwards towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of the 19 corners at Saint-Devote. And don't expect to see much overtaking here today. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Can I get your take on Ferrari? We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs, but this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Giovinazzi, Daniel Ricciardo and Verstappen, Norris, Perez, Ocon and Sebastian Vettel, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Christian Lundgaard and Stroll, Shaw, Russell, Yuki Tsunoda and Kimi Raikkonen, Latifi, Bottas, Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Alright, so here we are going to 5 red lights for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 2, and it is lights out and away we go. We get a kind of okay start, however Stroll in front of us gets a slightly better start off the, you know, kind of second wind, I suppose. Sonoda's around the outside of us looking at us into turn 1, but we just about managed to cover him off. We haven't gained any positions into turn 1, unfortunately, and off the line, but we are still here hooked up behind Stroll, potentially losing a little bit of time here, but it doesn't really matter because coming into this section here, it's gonna be very, very scary as we dive to the inside of Stroll, and we're just gonna keep it here. We're gonna keep it around the outside here, because this whole section here on the first lap is absolute chaos. It's literally, you're going like 20 k's an hour or something. It's crazy. And yeah, the AI just kind of sit back and go one by one. So I decided to make the move on Stroll there just because really it had to be done. So we have moved up one position, thankfully, and we've now got Pierre Gasly and Christian Lundgaard up ahead of us. Of course, Lundgaard, first 2 races of the season, 2 second places, so he's currently sitting a pretty firm second in the standings. Gasly as well himself, I mean, he got a podium, 3rd place in the last race, so those 2 guys really been punching above their weight in these last races. But Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap. He is still ahead as we get it all kinds of wrong out of that final corner, just getting caught up on the curb a bit, as Lance Stroll is now going to have a look towards the outside of us into turn 1, but we're going to cover him off. He can't quite get alongside, and we manage to keep the position, run up the hill. He has a little bit of a look again, but he's not going to be able to do anything, and we keep P14. Off the line here for Fernando Alonso, starting in P12, he gets up to P11 going into the first corner, then he's around the outside of Sebastian Vettel, and actually as they come up the hill here, he's got the position on Vettel, there you go, and he's up into P10, so Alonso into the points already. Great start from him. I mean, our car is kind of on the verge of points now, generally with R&D, so hopefully we can see Fernando Alonso getting in the points a little bit more often with us. As we continue on lap 3 here, I'm just kind of trying to catch Gasly ahead. I mean, that AlphaTauri is, strictly speaking, quite a bit slower than us now, you know. We are now well into that midfield fight with Aston Martin, Alpine, even Ferrari and McLaren and things. We've kind of moved away from Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri, but Gasly is still putting in a great performance as we move on, and we've got a yellow flag up ahead. Don't know what's going here. It's kind of a yellow flag that's breaking up into sections. As you can see, it's carrying on here, which must mean that somebody's had a mechanical failure and is out of the session. And sure enough, you see just in front on the left there, Daniel Ricciardo is out of the session with a mechanical failure. But up ahead of us, Fernando Alonso is also going slow. What's going on here? Alonso's got an issue. He's also pulling over to the side of the road, and Alonso is out of the session after having such a great start, getting into the points from the first couple of corners. He is now out of the Monaco Grand Prix. As we look on here with Daniel Ricciardo, he's got this mechanical failure and there's just nowhere he can really go, just going really slow. But then Alonso comes charging around the corner, goes straight into the back of Ricciardo. As we watch on from Alonso's point of view here, just gets caught out. He does go on the brakes and slow down a little bit, but it's not quite enough. I mean, his car's still moving, but obviously he's done a bit too much front wing damage, or potentially some under, floor damage, because I mean, if it's just the front wing, he can just change the front wing, but obviously it's more than that, and he retires. As we look on now to the Ferraris once again, looking at Charles Leclerc, he's trying to keep up with his teammate Carlos Sainz, who's doing a very good job, but the McLarens here definitely got good place, and Leclerc will want to be having a good race at his home Grand Prix. We continue on here. I'm kind of surprised that there wasn't a safety car after that crash. I mean, both cars in the end did manage to pull over to fairly safe spots, so perhaps that's why, but not even a VSC, which is interesting. But yeah, we're once again just kind of trying to catch up to Gasly and Lundgaard up ahead. I think Lundgaard's actually got quite a big gap from in front of Gasly now, so it's really just Gasly up ahead. But Stroll is still putting a lot of pressure on me behind. There's quite a big gap back to Tsunoda behind him. But yeah, we're definitely under pressure by Stroll, and that is actually meaning that I'm not catching Gasly as much as I potentially would if I was just in more clean air. I mean, I'm in clean air in front of me, but not from behind. I'm constantly having to, worry about Stroll behind rather than trying to catch Gasly in front, which is definitely not helping us out to catch him. And this carries on pretty much until we get to our pit stop. We're just constantly trying to make sure that Stroll stays behind us, and that Aston Martin it's about on pace with us now, maybe a little bit quicker, especially around this track. So it is difficult. We look on at the Ferraris though, and Carlos Sainz has been jumped by his teammates in the pits. Interesting here because Sainz was ahead, however Leclerc took the first pit stop, got the undercut on his teammates, so potentially some fiery moments going on at Ferrari. Maybe they just wanted to give Leclerc the advantage because it's his home Grand Prix. I don't really know. As we continue on here, I go quite deep into the chicane as we run over the curbs a bit, but no real issues. It's a pretty quick line, and we don't get a penalty or anything or a warning for it, so I'm going to play with track limits as much as I can. We continue on here. Stroll still hampering behind us. We've caught up to Gasly a tiny little bit, but we're still not really being able to make the inroads that we want on him. He's definitely quick. We've actually caught him a little bit more on this lap here. I think this is a couple of laps later than the previous bit you saw. But yeah, we've actually at this point managed to get a little bit of a gap to Stroll behind. I think he's probably facing a little bit of tyre wear now. We started on the hard tyres, whereas Stroll was one of the medium tyre starters. So potentially his tyres are going off, and he also has Leclerc coming for him, who's come in for his stop. Speaking of coming in for stops, we come in for our one and only, hopefully, pit stop on lap 20. Change tyres. It's a very quick stop from us, and we very nearly overtake Gasly in the pits. We don't quite though. We kind of end up ghosting through him a little bit there, but just end up behind him. But we're now definitely closer than we were before as we come out here, and we actually managed to jump Sebastian Vettel in the pits. I'm pretty sure he was ahead of us. Well, he was, because he was having a fight with Alonso at the start. We've managed to jump Vettel in the pits there, which is definitely good. Which, you know, we've got decent pace here, let's be honest, and now we're on the medium tyres. So is Gasly up ahead, and the car up ahead of him, Christian Lundgaard, he's now on hards, as behind me there's yellow flags, and I believe that is going to be Sebastian Vettel, who is about to be out of the Monaco Grand Prix with an engine failure. That is 3 drivers down already, halfway into this race pretty much, just over. And there we go, Vettel is out. It's just another mechanical failure, but yeah, he was just behind us when that happened. So even though we jumped him, we would have beaten him anyway. As we continue on here, not really a whole lot happening, to be honest. I managed to catch Gasly quite a lot because Lundgaard up ahead was slowing down. Now he started on the medium tyres and is now on the hards. Myself and Gasly started on the hards, we're now on the mediums. So we have a little bit more pace than Lundgaard at the moment, but we just can't get past him because this is Monaco we're talking about here. We're just, myself and Gasly, both stuck behind Lundgaard here. So Lundgaard is leading this kind of little train of us three. But yeah, it's so difficult to get past. It's so difficult just to get close as well with the dirty air. I get close at points and then just round some corners, just can't take the speed because of the dirty air. So yeah, this train could be going on for quite some time, I imagine, because just not a whole lot of overtaking that can be done at Monaco. And yeah, we're just going to simply continue on with some footage here. I'm going to be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of great footage from myself. Very close racing, and honestly quite fun racing between myself, Gasly and Lundgaard here. It was fun to be chasing these guys down, but it was also quite frustrating because I just couldn't get past at all. It was so difficult to try and make any move stick as we get quite late on the brakes into there, but can't quite do anything on Gasly. It's just way too tight around this track. And this would just continue on for lap after lap after lap, and I had a look through some replay cameras. Wasn't really a lot going on through the rest of the field either, just the same sort of thing, a few little trains of cars not being able to get past other cars, and yeah, just quite frustrating, to be honest, to be in this position. We do once again though look at Leclerc because he's still doing very well, and is Ferrari in second and third. They've got Max Verstappen behind, who's I think managed to jump Giovinazzi in this race. So yeah, Giovinazzi not doing so well there considering Hamilton is way out in the lead. But yeah, Ferrari still doing very well. Can they hang on for a double podium this race? as we get once again very late on the brakes. We're just staring at the back of Gasly's AlphaTauri, but there's nothing we can do. The main straight, the main overtaking spot is this spot here. The DRS isn't really that effective because he's got DRS off Lundgaard up ahead, and it's such a small straight that Lundgaard, you know, you have to be ridiculous. You have to be basically pushing the other car through down the straight, or off the final corner, to have any chance at overtaking into turn 1. So it really is just a big old train right now. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest, a bit of a boring part of the video. Monaco in general, just not great for overtaking, as you would probably know from real life. And I mean from my race last season as well, but with the rain that just kind of made it a bit more hectic in that regard. But yeah, fast paced, definitely fun driving, but unfortunately not a whole lot of crazy racing going on here, just because of the nature of the track. Stuck behind these guys, and it's so annoying as well because at this point I think there's, oops, sorry, you might have just heard a cat meow next to me. Please be quiet, cats. Yeah, you may notice now we're in P11. We've actually managed to get past another person who's obviously come into the pits up ahead of us. So we are now on the verge of points. Gasly is in P10. He is in the final points paying position. And we are right there on the verge. We're quicker. We're definitely quicker than Lundgaard. I think if Lundgaard wasn't there, we were about on pace with Gasly, as we accidentally smack into the back of him a little bit there, potentially getting a little bit impatient. Thankfully it doesn't look like to be any front wing damage, but yeah, just getting a little bit impatient there and wanting to get past, to get that at least just 1 point, you know, because like I said, I think if it was just Lundgaard ahead of us, we'd maybe be able to get past him potentially. AI not quite as good at getting past. However, if Lundgaard wasn't there, I don't know if we'd be able to get past Gasly, because Gasly is just about as quick as us, if not maybe a little bit quicker, to be honest. As we continue on here around, we're coming to the final corners on the track. I'm absolutely pushing as hard as I can as we go into Rasgas, and I'm going to try and stick my nose around the outside, and Gasly gives us room. He actually has a very tight line going into the final corner. We managed to get the switchback, and we are going to come home at the final corner to get P10. Literally the final corner. I did a little bit of a dive into Rasgas, the good old Rasgas dive, round the outside, and then Gasly gave us room, kind of squeezed himself too far to the inside, and we got a beautiful switchback. Great final lap.
It's the one that everyone wants to win, and they've only gone and done it. What a fantastic result here at Monaco. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
So Lewis Hamilton wins the Monaco Grand Prix, and it is a double podium for Ferrari. Charles Leclerc in second place and Carlos Sainz in third. So good stuff for Ferrari to have a double podium here. I'm sure Leclerc is disappointed to not get the win at his home Grand Prix though. However, I'm sure Sainz is very disappointed that he got undercut by his teammates in the pits. And we come home in P10. I mean, this was generally a fairly boring race. You know, you had that quite interesting squabble at the start, and then the thing with Ricciardo and Alonso happening, a little bit of a fight with Stroll. However, for the rest of the race, we were just kind of stuck behind cars, but I just kind of went for the dive into Rasgas, managed to get our nose in. Gasly gave us the racing room, and we literally got him in the final corner, and then it was a drag race to the line. So yeah, very, very exciting final couple of corners, but the rest of the race, I'm going to be honest, it was a little bit bland. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.